If you are in this video, it's because you want to start in the game development area. If so, you are in the right place, because today I will tell you how you can get into game development successfully. I've been programming games for about 2 years, so I will advise you what you should do, also about things you shouldn't do. Because yes, when you're starting to make your own games, when you want to start making them, maybe it's difficult because, for example, you have a lot of game engines, you have a lot of programming languages you can choose. As a result, when you're starting, when you're a beginner, maybe it becomes a bit confusing. But don't worry, I am here to help you. Now let's start. Firstly, know your purposes. This is the key in any area of programming, whether if you want to make a web, if you want to make games, if you want to make anything related to programming, you have to know your purposes. It's not the same if you want to make 2D games than if you want to make 3D games. So you should think about what you want to build, what you want to make. If you want to be a game development, this is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. You have to choose between making either 2D games or 3D games. Because, for example, if you want to make games and export them to Android or mobile devices, obviously most Android and iOS games are in 2D, or they are simpler. But if you want to make games and export them to, for example, PlayStation, Steam, or some other platform like that, maybe you should consider 3D development. What I mean is that if you want to make 2D games, your games mostly will be published on mobile phones or maybe in Steam or PlayStation, Xbox, etc. But if you make a 3D game with a lot of graphics, a lot of things, maybe it doesn't work correctly in a mobile phone. That's the reason why most games in Android, in mobiles, are just 2D. I am not saying that you can't publish a 2D game in Steam, for example. Or I am not saying that you can't publish a 3D game in Play Store. I'm just saying the most normal things. Once you know the things you want to make, you have to choose a game engine. A game engine is a tool with which programmers make their games. The most known game engines are Unity, Godot, and Unreal. All of them have some disadvantages and advantages. This point is really absolutely connected with know your purposes. Because, for example, Godot engine is a great game engine if you want to make 2D simple games. Whereas if you want to make 3D games with a lot of graphics, with ray tracing, all other technological things related to graphics, Unreal is a really good option. And Unity is in the middle of both, because with Unity you can make really good things in 2D and also really good things in 3D. But maybe Unreal is better for making really complex things related to graphics. That's why, for example, games like Fortnite are developed with Unreal. Or with Unity, for example, Fall Guys was developed. Or Cuphead. For example, Godot is a real option for 2D, as I said before, and that's why it's a real simple game engine. Also because of its programming language called GDScript, which is really easy to understand and learn because it's based on Python. And if you don't know, Python is one of the easiest programming languages you can learn. Then the interface of Godot is also really good, but the performance in 3D of Godot isn't the best. You can still work in 3D with Godot, But when you start to add a lot of things, mostly related with graphics, your project is not a really good thing. Because until now, Godot doesn't work pretty well with 3D. Maybe in the next version of Godot 4, you can make incredible things with Godot 4, but just maybe. Nowadays, Godot 3, although you can make a lot of really cool things in the 3D, Unity and Unreal's 3D is better than Godot 1. So to choose a game engine, you have to strongly know your purposes. If you want to make 2D simple things, I would recommend you to choose Godot because it's really simple to understand. Then if you want to make 2D and 3D games, you don't want to make so complicated things, you can choose Unity. One of the best things about Unity is that it is the most used game engine. This means that you have a lot of tutorials, you have a lot of information on the internet, so whenever you have an error, you can solve it quickly. And then if you just want to make an incredible 3D with ray tracing and things related to that highly powerful graphical stuff, I would recommend you to choose Unreal. Now you know your purposes, you chose a game engine and you know how to think about a great game idea. What I mean by think about a great idea? I mean that you have to explore the market of video games. What is in them that makes them so good? For example, in most 2D casual games, you can play them with just one finger. That's a thing. If you want to make 2D games, you have to think about. If you're not a very creative person and you don't know what to make a game about, you can jump to YouTube, look for some examples of games people had made, and then you can have some inspiration about what people had made, and then you will be able to create your own. I'm not saying that you copy and paste the idea of somebody else. It's just to be more creative, it's just to rethink about things already made, and maybe you use something from any game and you upgrade it or you make another thing. Because, for example, Fortnite is a shooter game, and obviously there are a lot of shooter games. But what makes Fortnite unique? That you can build. Do you understand what I am saying? They took something that was created before and they added something special. That's other really important thing you have to consider. It's not copying the others, it's upgrading what the others had created. While you are programming, you will face some errors, or you won't know what more to add. This is the scenario in which the internet takes an important place. We are in an era in which everything is in internet. So take advantage of the internet. When I started, I believed that by using the internet all the time, by googling all things I had doubts, I wasn't a good developer. But then I realized that every single developer uses Google. So when you are programming and you have some errors or you don't know what more to add, you can look up that things on the internet. If you are using Unity, for example, this will be easier. Why? Because as I said before, Unity is the most used game engine. That means that the information on the internet is massive. There is a lot of information on the internet. But also Godot and Unreal have a lot. So no excuses. You can solve any error you have. There isn't a programmer that doesn't use, for example, Stack Overflow or doesn't use Google to look up things that maybe doesn't know how to make, or if simply wants to add something. Everyone uses internet. It's probably one of the best tools you can take advantage of, so please use the internet. You won't become a bad developer. Programming is changing every day. Every day new things are released. Well, maybe every day no, but usually new things are released. Maybe some updates are also released. So you have to keep up looking to new things. For example, if your game engine is updated, you have to know the features it has. Because if you know the features of a new update, you can take advantage of them. Or maybe a new update of your game engine is launched and that version doesn't work well. That's why you have to keep up looking to the new things released, because maybe they are bad things, maybe they don't benefit you, maybe they damage your project. You are not going to study a programming language or a game engine once and that's it. You have to study the updates of your game engine or your programming language, and you have to take advantage of them. And that is what leads me to the following point. Take advantage of social media. Think about the time you waste or you spend in social media. So try to take advantage of that time you spend or even waste in social media. Follow creators that makes programming content. I know that scrolling down TikTok and watching humor videos is really good and you really like that, but try to follow some creators about programming. Because for example in TikToks there are a lot of tips, for example in Visual Studio Code, in-game engines, there is a lot of information in TikTok. Take advantage of it. Because most of the tips I know of VS Code or in Unity, the shortcuts of Windows for example, I know them because of TikTok. Every day new creators start to create their own videos about programming. So if you take advantage of this video, it will really improve your game development skills. Or maybe you can join a game jam, because a lot of creators make videos about their game jams in TikTok. You have to try to get as much as possible into the programming environment. The more you do it, the better. So if you follow a few coding video creators on social media, you can benefit from it. For example, the channel you're watching right now. Subscribe because I always upload new videos about programming that can really help you. Think twice, code once. This means that you think twice and code once. Well, now seriously. You should write down all the things you want your game to have. You can use a notebook, the notepad of your device, anything that you think is the best for you. Because if you make a player, you make it move, but then you want to add a jump, let's say. Then you make, for example, the platforms in which the player will be moved, and you create an enemy. But when you are trying out that game, maybe you think that adding a double jump to the player would make the game better. So then you have to code twice, because you will have to change some part of the code. Then you add the double jump, but you think that the enemy is too boring. So then you add some other stuff to the enemy. And then again you are coding twice. So try to be the more organized as possible. Try to know all the things you want to add to your game. Take any amount of hours or even days to think about it. Because when you are programming, you are starting to make your own things. It's difficult to add new things. it's better to add them all of that things in the beginning of your project and not in the middle of the development of your project. There are a lot of other things you should follow to successfully get into game development, but these are the best advices I can give you. Remember, you should follow the social media creators. That's one of the best things you can do. So consider subscribing to the channel. I always try to help you and advise you about game development. This is all for today's video. Remember to like it, join to the Discord server, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.